What's up? What's up? What's up? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? How's it going? How's it going? It is Saturday.
Brand.
Saturday, the 1st of February.
It is.
What's up, Brian?
Look at all these lights.
I don't know.
You gotta turn the right ones on.
Those lights.
Well, I got many. That's what happens after you've been trying to make.
StreamYard is still messing with me on these comments. But yeah. Oh, I didn't turn that off.
I'm sorry, brother man. That's really frustrating.
Yeah, it is what it is. It'll fix itself, I think. I don't know. The last time I had a problem with it, it managed to fix itself. I might just need a little restart. Might have something weird going on.
Okay.
But
well, you know what? We can handle this. This is something that we have overcome. We'll do it.
Yes,
Happy
sir.
February.
Agreed. We're in a new month.
I'm gonna say again
about love.
Yeah. This, I would say that January feels like usual, although I think for some maybe it did feel long. Because the joke is always that like January lasts a year. I don't think it was crazy. Sometimes it does feel that long, but I don't think it's crazy here. What's happening? What's happening in February? Do you have anything planned?
Yeah. So Bentley's birthday is in February. It's Valentine's Day, so Valentine's Day becomes a little bit bigger of an event around here. And then it's his 6th birthday, so we actually have taken each one of our kids to Legoland for their 6th birthday. So we'll spend the weekend there at the hotel and do the park. And so that's all set up for, so we could do the 8th. So it's this weekend coming up.
How many Legolands are there?
I don't know. I think there's only 2. But I'm not sure. There might be only 1.
Wait, you have like a big Legoland by you. Your Legoland, and because you're close to Carlsbad?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Oh, okay, this is a big one. This is a big one you're going to.
I think it's the main one, but yeah. Yeah, and they have two actual themed hotels. So the hotels are actually a lot more fun than the park at times.
Guys, there's like a replica of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a life-size replica.
Massive.
Good.
It's like massive, dude.
I didn't realize this. My goodness. Look at this. Eiffel Tower, Taj Mahal, New York City. Woo, my goodness. This is Legoland's a thing, huh? Oh, wait.
Yeah, it is.
That's that's not life size. Those are Lego people.
No. Yeah, it's not life size. But it is really big, like the amount, like the size of all of it. Like you walk through this like little area where you see all the cities. But no, it's not life size.
Nice.
You don't you don't get to walk through the buildings. They're like off, it's like a pathway, and they're off to the side, and they're like, I don't know, 8 or 10 feet long. So Brooklyn's 12, so it's been 6 years since we've been.
Nice. Hopefully they've changed some stuff up. But love.
Mm-hmm. Love unconditionally. That's a hard one, man. I think it's hard, and it's not hard in like theory to like understand and like and do most of the time, but there are definitely times where it gets harder.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like it's so hard? What, do you think love is hard, or do you think that it's
the unconditionally part? Yeah,
got it.
The putting the like where you draw the line between, and good morning, Craig. I love you unconditionally. Where you draw the line of, are you putting conditions on it or not, or is it just is it just I'm trying to teach these little tiny humans,
Mm-hmm.
different ways of life, like helping the family out, like, and if they don't help the family out, does that turn into punishment, or it's like those kinds of things. Does that look to them or to people on the outside like I'm putting conditions on my love for them, like those kind of things. But
Yeah,
like, where does it start
I
and stop?
think it's a good point. I wanted to put this up. We had a great conversation. It's a while ago now. If you even forget when this was, I'm looking for it, and we had this. I'll see if I can find it. But it was a discussion that we had with one of our V friends, our V Dads episodes,
Hmm.
particular with one of our resident artists here. Try to find it. Anyway, I'll come back to it so we can talk about it. But I loved it. Was the discussion we had was about the unconditional love that is, question. I think, and I don't want to. I definitely don't want to misrepresent this, but I think that it was a question of like unconditional love based from a view in religion. And where does unconditional love start? Where does it stop? I think that religion sometimes put a little bit of a questionable boundary around some of those things. And it was a good discussion, right? It was with Ben, and I was looking for episode here. Right, when did we do this? March.
You're saying with
Month.
Ivankind?
Yes, I've been kind. I'm gonna put this up. I'm gonna do this here. Just put a link if anyone wants to see it. But it was a conversation because I think that if no one knows I've been kind, Whiskey Jack, right? That whole family down there, they religion was a big part of their life. And
Yeah.
I think that there was a point because I clipped this out. It was basically about like your children conditionally, and how those conditions need to be set by you and hopefully not by something external, which I thought was just an awesome discussion. So I want that to be something you guys can check out. Anyway, this. All right, good stuff.
Okay.
Oh, what's going on? What's going on?
Say good morning.
I hear it's almost your birthday.
We were just talking about your birthday and going to Legoland. Are you excited?
6.
Yeah, 6 exactly. Yep.
It's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
What are you hoping your birthday? What do you really want to do on your birthday? Is it just Legoland? Is it Legoland and something else?
What do you want to do for your birthday?
Bentley, what do you want to do? Should tell your dad you want a go-kart, maybe a moped.
A go-kart?
I want Lamborghini.
What? A Lamborghini?
Yes.
Nice, there it is. Now we're asking for the big presents. That's a good thing.
I want
What's
real
up, Jay?
Lamborghini.
I pulled you on.
Give me a real
Wasn't ready.
Lamborghini. Give me a real one. Give me a real Lamborghini.
Are you gonna let your dad in your Lamborghini?
No, I'm driving my own Lamborghini.
I can't drive it
I
for
like
you?
that idea.
Yes, you are driving.
You can't drive yet.
Yes, I can. I'm driving.
You gonna go drive my car?
This is the big question, Tom.
What's up?
I'm driving.
Do you think that the love coming from Bentley is going to be conditional based on what you buy him for his birthday?
You met with the wrong person.
Oh my god. Say that again.
Dom, is that your youngest?
Yeah,
Cool. What's his
Yeah.
What's his name?
Bentley. And
Bentley.
weirdly enough, he wants a Lamborghini, not a Bentley. What are you doing? All right, why don't you stay in there?
I was asking you about the well here, I think this is a good question, right? But something that you guys do you do something? What's one thing maybe that you guys do, or if you don't, maybe wish you did, to kind of show your kids unconditional love? I have a thought on my end. Jason, you had a great quote from a while ago about unconditional love and acceptance regarding Junie at home. Remember that?
I'm trying to remember the words I used. Radical optimism, was that it?
I think it was radical optimism. I think we can easily put, or we could put, within the realm of unconditional love.
Sorry, you got a dog down here again. Ugh. Hang on, hold that thought.
All right. Well, I'm thinking about unconditional love. This is the one thing I try and, for unconditional love for my kids, right? I know it can be different for anyone, but I mean, I don't know. Is there a universal unconditional acceptance of everything? One thing my kids to always know is that I 100% trust them, right? We have a decision. I have a decision to either trust my kids or not trust my kids. And I know people have a hard time with this, but like my kids tell me something, like a question here, but if kids tell me something, I trust you. That's what you told me. I trust you. Now, if they feel in that moment that they need dad to trust them, it might be the truth, could be a lie, whatever. I trust that they are telling me what they're telling me because there's a good reason for it. And I will forever want them to believe that. My wife sometimes, Lauren has, I think she's like, well, take it easy, lying. Yeah, they really could be. But again, I have a choice. I decide whether I want to trust them or whether I don't want to trust them. And there can be an in-between. But I want that to be an unconditional belief for them that dad will trust me no matter what I end up saying. Could there be back? But I, again, want them to feel that they can come to me, that they can say anything, that they can definitely tell me what they need, what they feel. And again, if it ends up being a lie in some kind of way, well, then there must be a good reason. I trust their reason for saying it like that. That is my biggest way of wanting them to understand my role. It's, and to me, that's love, right? But I don't know. What do you guys think? Where are you with unconditional?
I just read the page walking downstairs because I finally found it under a pile of laundry.
Oh, you can always just text me too. I can send you a picture at least.
I could, but that just feels irresponsible.
I think the audio or the digital version is maybe like $8 right now too.
Oh, I don't know. I don't. I like the message. I can't think of any area where I love my kids conditionally. You know, it's never like a tit for tat thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like your point on trust. Like my kids will always have my trust, even when they get into points when, you know, they're not telling the whole truth. The overall goal with that is that they're comfortable telling us anything. Like I think a few weeks ago, we talked about just kind of like a general sense of guilt that kind of comes with childhood, certain childhoods. Like I felt it, no reason. And it's no blame
Mm-hmm.
placed on our parents at all. It's just like, you know, I don't know if it was something that we weren't told that we couldn't say or fear of any kind of retribution. But I feel like that's something that Kristen and I have been very clear about is that your kids should be able to tell you anything. And then Dom called me out when I said, you won't get in trouble, but there will be consequences, which is kind of the same thing. I'm just rewording it so it sounds fancy, I guess.
Yeah. So I didn't hear any of that. This dude was all over the place. He's got so much energy in the morning.
You know, you're setting a precedent, Tom. You're setting the precedent of get up, turn your brain on, get the day started. This is you. He's only taking after you.
what's funny is I was feeling real tired this morning, so I was kind of like telling myself, I'm like, after this VDID's call, I'm gonna just go lay down for a little bit, and then the last thought I had before I came out here was, he's totally gonna wake up. Like he's been waking up relatively around the same time as this call. So I wasn't shocked. We haven't had a Bentley appearance in a while.
It's birthday month. It's
I
birthday
just turned
month,
around
so
and
it's great.
I just turned around and he's in the doorway doing this. You're hilarious, bro. Oh man.
Can I ask? So I love Craig's message. I'm also going to assume that if I were to read this message to 10 dads or parents, moms, whoever, but I read this message, I think most parents would say, I want this, right? And I tell my kids this. And I'm curious if how we're actually showing this. Is this, where are the actions? What are the words? What are we sharing? Is there a reciprocal type of share with our kids to make sure that they actually feel this way? Can we break that? I think that trust is something that is, it takes a long time to build, but can erode very quickly. Of course, I love this message. How do we solidify this? And how do we actually get our kids to believe it?
So Craig's first message also hits. And then his second message was talking about how when she lost her virginity. That's a big question that kind of comes into my head, is like, if anything, I hope my daughters are okay talking about that stuff with me and mom. And like we've had conversations on that before. So I was really happy to read that Craig and his daughter are that open. That's what I'm striving for sure. And then the other point, when Craig called me out when
You want to use it?
Huso and Dom, you called me out for difference between getting in trouble and consequences. It's like, how do you approach a conversation when your kid is telling you something they did wrong? How does that discussion go consequence free? And I'm talking about things that might deserve consequences, not like accidents or mistakes. Guys, are you even listening to me? Get your kids out of there.
Sorry, man. He just picked up a basketball and started dribbling it. And I'm like, that's way too early with all of our girls are asleep still. The boys wake up early and the girls don't.
But yeah. So the end point of my diatribe was, I hope to be open with my daughters as much as Craig is with his, and also wondering what a discussion looks like when they can tell you anything, when consequences might have to be levied. Like, how would you keep that trust open when you might have to give consequences for actions?
I love that. Yeah. I also, I think this is what you were saying about teaching your girls how to change a tire and about Web3. Is that what we're talking about? No. Okay.
Say it again. City.
Joke didn't land. Never mind. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I want to ground myself for a second, because Jason, you're saying that your girls do feel like they can come to you. At least your oldest does.
No, they've all showed moments of honesty in the past, and really, there's really nothing that I know of that's been hidden so far, but we'll see.
Yeah, Craig, so this is, I was having this conversation. I think I've mentioned now 3 days in a row that I had there with Kowski and Jeremy the other night. And there was a moment where I was saying something. And something I had said is like, yeah, I never really feel like an adult. I don't. because mentally I'm like, I'm still like, I feel as if I'm still always navigating the world and learning about myself and learning what I want to do. And I was talking about too how like I feel if I look back even on my childhood and kind of where my parents were, I think about my mom and how my mom, I think it's a lot of our childhood was still trying to discover a lot of things that she loved to do in her life too. And maybe I didn't really understand it then, but I do understand it more now as we're always trying to kind of still find ourselves. Where when you're younger, you look at older people like, you know, your parents or other adults, you're like, oh, well, they got it together. They know who they are. There's nothing else that they're really going to do. But I'm like, I'm constantly like, I'm trying to find something new. Like I'm always brooding. I'm always looking for that next kind of thing. And so when I was talking about this, I was like, yeah, I never really feel like a true adult because like I still feel like I'm looking for something else in life, like, you know, not with outside of marriage or anything like that, but it's more the idea of like, what am I really good at? What do I really want to do in life? Right. And those questions kind of still remain just like they did when I was like younger, even in high school, you know, early on in college and stuff like that too. And so I feel as if I'm constantly putting myself, like what Craig said here, constantly putting myself in the shoes of my girls or me when I was a kid. And so a lot of the things that obviously that I'm doing is because it is what I wish I had when I was a kid too. And so, you know, so I agree. Like the easiest way for me to talk to my girls, because there's another side of this, but the easiest way for me to talk to my girls is when I do think about how I would have experienced it from their age. The challenge, I think, comes in when I'm deeply experiencing what they might feel and what I'm trying to validate, but then another adult comes in, like my wife, and she's like, wait, I feel like I have 3 kids. And I'm like, well, I'm just putting myself in their shoes. I'm not arguing for them or against you. I'm just trying to understand what they might be thinking about. And I always think that that is a crazy, I don't know if it's a juxtaposition or if it's just like a take to end up having, but I would never change that. I would still want to think of myself as a kid and easier to put myself in their shoes than to be on the outside trying to kind of force thoughts and feelings and, you know, actions into my kids a little bit more. But it's an interesting thing. Like I completely agree, but it doesn't come without its challenges. I think in that moment, because I'm sure I'm missing something if I'm thinking for them than thinking more like some resonate. You guys, do you either agree? Do you not see that? Does it make sense?
You're kind of going robot there. I don't think I caught the last
Oh,
10
really?
seconds.
He just asked
Oh,
if we
well,
agreed and if that made sense to us. I think so. I mean, I see points to all of it, and I kind of feel like we kind of go in and out of a lot of the different things. Like sometimes when we're more when life's hitting right and we're more patient and we're on good terms, like we're leading the kids. We're discussing things with kids. We're following the Craig method. It's open communication and unconditional love, and we're seeing the different sides of it. Like I tend to be a little bit more of a like everything's going to work itself out. Like even if they do this bad thing or this horrible thing, or they're not doing their homework or they're not listening to school, like school's not for them. And my wife tends to be more along the lines of like, no, these are the things that we do. This is the way we've set up our rules around the house, and we need to talk about this, figure this out. But then in another time frame or another season of life, like I'm the one like yelling and getting mad and uh, ready to dole out some punishments, and my wife's like, "Honey, calm down. Like, take a break." The kids, they're great kids. They're very, she's like, I see them more at school, and they're kind to others and all this stuff. So it's there. I don't think there's one right answer, not even in the span of a day. Like, there's not one right way to be. You kind of like go
yeah.
through different things all day long.
Can I I don't want to make it like a round robin or hot seat for a second. I'm curious. I want you guys to things. I kind of want like a one word response, but I don't think that's going to be the way it is because I'm just kind of curious where your heads are, and I think this could also be a little bit interesting to kind of focus on this. And if for anyone listening, I want to kind of try this too. But if we're thinking of like three different themes, I'm thinking of like this idea between conditional and unconditional love, right? I think this idea that kids shouldn't earn our love, obviously, right? They need to kind of feel it no matter what. Who do you think, if you had it? No, that's more competitive. I don't know if I like that as much.
Who's our favorite kid?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Out of you and your spouse, if you think about conditional and unconditional love, right? I'm going to think that one person might give more or less. It's very competitive. That's where I was going with this. And I don't know if I love this at all. But
Trying to get us in trouble with our wives.
Who loves our
I
kids
am.
more?
That's where I'm trying to go with this.
13 days before Valentine's Day, you're trying to drop a bomb like that, bro?
No. This isn't bombs. This is now just reality. We're trying to get in touch with exactly where we're at with this.
Who's your favorite parent?
Who do you think in your Okay, how about this? Do you think that your parents or you as parents show more unconditional love?
Oh, me, 100%.
Got it.
Good question. I don't think we ever were ever showed conditional love, but I think we're more intentional about it. Kristen's been really open about like she kind of grew up. That might be a good question for Kristen. She was awake. I think she grew up with a bit more of that. And she knows what it feels like. She knows what it feels like to be on the receiving end of it. And that really informs a lot of the unconditional love that she gives our kids.
Yeah, I remember some stories she's mentioned before, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that was very conditional. I think this is a hard thought. I think many people I know, I don't think many conditions were really placed on from their parents. But then you do hear some stories. Kristen shared something. I'm just replaying that in my head right now. I don't know if she would explain it as such, but I do know other stories where there were conditions kind of placed on certain things, right? Like there would be a favorite kid in the family because of something that they did or said or how they showed up or whatever. Or, you know what? Maybe here, tough one. This is not my story, so I want to make sure that I'm not going to say that, but it's just an example that I think I connect with. I think sometimes we can have conditions without actually thinking we're placing them. We have kids that are easier, and I think that we have kids that are difficult. Now, that's not good or bad. It's just objectively, like, it's just more challenging to deal with that kid and less challenging to deal with that kid, right? Now, I don't think it's love so much, but I could probably see someone unknowingly put a little bit more of a condition, and I don't know if that's the right word, on a child that maybe isn't as placing the condition, I guess, the child that's a little more difficult to deal with than the one that isn't, right? They kind of get love a lot easier. Not that this other kid has to earn their love, but like we just show it differently. Again, that's kind of like the unconscious way of doing it. Because I think it's so straightforward when we think about, okay, yeah, we love our kids no matter what. Okay, blah, blah. But I think that there is going to be a side of it that people are putting conditions on love for kids or even our spouses without us knowing it. I think that's where I'm going with that thought. And I'm saying it to kind of catch myself too. Am I doing that? I don't really know.
I get what you're saying. I think what you're saying is with kids who are maybe more challenging, are we being more conditional in what we show them? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, and I'm actually glad you said that, because I don't think it's so much of what we're showing them, because I could easily say that we might show the same type of love to each one of our kids, but some kids do need a little bit more love, right? Maybe they need a little bit more attention than another one does. And then we can start to kind of like, mix and match like what we have to do for certain kids right there. And again, I'm talking about subconsciously, unconsciously. like, not knowing kind of where we're placing some of these things. And again, I'm not saying this with a direction or an agenda as much as I am just trying to make sure that I know that it could be happening with just without us knowing.
Can I abbreviate? Saying this very kindly, can I abbreviate what you're saying? I think what you're saying is when we recognize that certain like one kid needs more love than the other, it might be perceived by that kid as like conditions. Like if a kid's being tough, might be showing tough love, or we might even be losing our temper, and that might be communicated to the kid as I'm not doing the thing that makes my parents love me.
Yeah, I think it's because it's this interplay. It's this inter and intra communication and feeling that we have to get on the same page with, right? And so like if there's a kid that's been more difficult that week and now they're asking for one more thing, I think sometimes we're tired, right? But I think that can then be perceived by them as conditional. Oh, I have to make this easy for mom and dad or they're not going to love me, right? Or we're not really saying, but maybe action in our emotions and that heavy deep breath that we take before we actually talk to them. I think it's just that kind of an awareness, which then makes me think about just making sure that we have this we're remaining present as much as we can, right? Because I honestly think that there are many kids that would trade a trophy, trade their favorite present from somebody, or even money for like a genuine moment of connection with their parent, right? And I think that especially as we get older, we might actually think about how like we would do that. But if we are not present enough to understand that we might be putting these conditions around our kids and how they're perceiving it, although we're not really trying to do it, I think it's an interesting thought. It's making me think about how it goes.
Dom, do you have anything to add to this?
The answer is I love you, but no. Well, I was just when you guys were talking, I was just thinking along the lines of like the difference in ages of kids. Like maybe the older kids can see love as more conditional because they see us proud and loving when they accomplish tasks, whereas like younger kids, and I'm thinking more along the lines of babies, like when you enter a baby into the world, like, and you have a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old, like the 4-year-old sees you happy and excited and congratulating them when they walk, talk, read, whatever they're doing, but the baby just gets love by just existing. And so like that's probably like the first sign of kids seeing a condition on love, but it's not a condition on love. It's just an obvious misunderstanding in the kid's brain versus what's going on in life. But I don't think that stops. And so that could be, what it looks like from the kid's perspective is the only thing I can think of. Like our middle child is our more emotional and more difficult one, and she says things like, yeah, but you guys just love Bentley for everything and Bailey for this, and so I see where she sees us putting conditions on it, even though we're not trying to or we're not meaning to. It's just like Craig said, every kid's different, and so you have to approach them in different ways.
And I think that's my biggest point. And I'm not trying to push like my own thought here, but it's the idea that I think that most, if you look, most parents are going to be, I don't put conditions on the love for my kid. I don't at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I know that my parents would probably say that, but at the same time, I knew that there were a lot of times in my life, being the more emotional kid, I think out of the family, I felt as if I needed to heavily suppress my emotions and a lot of my thoughts to be accepted by my family. And so to me as a kid, and even now, I'm like, that was a condition, but I don't think my parents were ever placing that on purpose on me. That's just what they're doing, right? So is that happening in my family, in my immediate family right now? That's what I end up thinking about. I know we're over 30. I know I'm in a rush, but.
My last thought, or we can keep going because it's Saturday. I would say that if a parent is giving conditional love, that they are very aware of it. I don't think any parent gives conditional love accidentally. Like relating to Kristen's story, it's like if a parent is giving that back and forth, they're
I feel
very
like Karen
intense.
works. I feel like the word Karen worked well here.
Yeah, it's a very Karen thing to do, I'd say. But yeah, I don't think conditional love is accidental, and I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's very intentional. And I would say that if you're giving unconditional love, it might be perceived by the kid as being conditional. Do you see the difference there that I'm trying to explain?
I think we're
Yeah.
saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is the example that I know.
You like me.
Do I like you?
Oh, what's the conditions for liking, Ryan?
It's like,
What conditions does she have to satisfy?
I didn't know why she was asking. It's because she put all over her face. That's all. So I didn't know why. But Ben kind was bringing this up because he was talking about religion, and again, I really don't want to say here didn't say. I'm just paraphrasing. But it was like that religion can put conditions on love, right? Some religion can be like, if you're gay, I might not love you, right? And that was kind of where I think some of that conversation was going. But religion, and I'm not talking about religion as much as it is just that there are conditions that kind of get placed on that. But what I think is possible is that a lot of us as parents are easily going to say that we not conditions, but maybe are more conditions that we actually think is happening. And so just to kind of be aware of what's actually happening there. Break though. Do you think that you mentioned Kristen might have had some conditions and conditions from parents that maybe were or were not conscious? Breaking that cycle, thinking about a few things here, right? Like the idea of like, what do our kids have to hear us say or do, right? Do our kids have to hear us say, I love you every day, right? I love you, like say the words, I love you. There's no conditions here. Right? I love you for who you are, right?
Yeah.
Things like their effort and character over just what their achievements are, right? Or making
over the results.
Yeah, whatever it is. And I think that idea of kind of like presence in your life, not based on anything else that's going on in the day or our life as a parent. I'm just thinking about like bedtimes or car rides or work days and things like this, where it's like, okay, well, dad will only do bedtime if he's not busy at work. So therefore, if we make sure that maybe we are more important than work, and I'm going to strive to do that, or I achieve more, then he'll pay more attention to me, like that kind of stuff. I just keep thinking about there probably is a lot of like unconscious, subconscious kind of things that are happening here and feeling from kids. This is actually a deeper thought. This is a deeper thing than I actually thought it was, for me at least. Not about you guys. You guys might be like, shut the hell up. But this is just what my feelings are.
No, I think it's a good. I was prepared to listen more today, but as we're talking about it, it does kind of go a bit deeper.
I love that because I love talking more.
No, really. All
right. I gotta go because I got two awake. So we're
now
we're
it's
ready
good.
to
We are
rock in
way
this
over.
house.
We got 40.
So you guys have a great weekend. Good Saturday. I hope Blaze is crushing it, camping in the woods, in the cold,
Oh yeah,
in the cabins or wherever he's doing it. Yeah, I was pretty surprised when it. Yeah, exactly. But hopefully he's got some nice heated cabins. Snow Blaze.
Jason, were there other thoughts though that you wanted to share? Dom, you're more than welcome to head out.
I think
Keep your spirit. We love you.
See you guys.
See you, Dom. Have a good day. I think the main point that I'm walking away from this today is if you are conscious of what conditions you feel like you might be putting on, I would say that's a much healthier attitude than I'm struggling to put these words together right now.
I love you no matter what.
Thank you. Thanks. Well, that's a good way to put it. It's like at the end of anything, I love you is the best way to leave it, even if you're mad, even if you're angry, even with your spouse after an argument. I think the main point that you have to leave your family with is that you love them no matter what. So,
yeah. I think it also brings up another thing, maybe later too, how kids are.
We can keep going. Let's keep diving.
No, well, we talked about Monday night taking a deep discussion to relationship, right? So check back in Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central,
7 Mountain Time.
For yourself, that's awesome. You pixelated
yeah,
and you colored it.
Every what is that? What do we got? Oh, is that the makeup game?
I don't know what she did. It looks like she pixelated a picture and then she colored the pixels. Oh, I see what you're doing. Oh, you can make the pixels bigger or smaller. Oh yeah, thanks.
I take the pictures and then I make it
oh, I see.
more realistic or like easier, which are bigger ones that are like easier to.
Yeah, Craig. Good. I'm getting to that stage. I think with my 11-year-old for sure. Yeah.
What's that? Mindful of the fact that even teenagers have very little idea on how to show their emotions effectively. Oh man, that's such a good one. My goodness. To get I think that a lot of kids are still developing a lot of their feelings and emotions before they're really able to get across what they really want. What's up?
Yeah. Yeah, that side note.
Not right now.
For Mondays.
But I'll be out in a minute. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. I like this. I like to explore it because every day, every morning, there's always a part of the reading that always applies to our adult relationship as well with partners for sure. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what that looks like on a Monday evening. As the week starts.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. We got a whole month of this. We got a whole month. It's only day 1. We got a whole month of talking about this stuff. So
yesterday when you were saying that you were getting tired of themes.
Yeah.
In my head, it was like, yeah, it's only the 15th. I was like, oh wow, January's already gone.
That's what I said. I felt like January wasn't as long as it usually feels. I don't know why. Maybe because there's so much going on over here. But regardless, we'll be back tomorrow. And then Monday evening, we'll talk relationships. If you guys have anything on relationships, just like your partner in general, I think being able to kind of split up this discussion, focusing on kids and parenting, and then this relationship with your spouse is going to play a role in all of that. But at the same time, I think that it is a very salient thing to bring up that there are going to be things that might not even relate to parenting that we have to deal with. My wife scratched my back this morning, and it was the most physical touch I've received in a while. So it was amazing, right? That's what I also felt. So I think that's a good
love languages.
Part of discussion.
We'll talk about love languages.
We'll do. You know, even love languages, people feel like it's not an actual. It's just a. What's the term I'm thinking of? This overgenerated kind of way of thinking about love. Anyway, we'll talk about it. We'll bring it back, guys. But we'll see you tomorrow morning. All right? Mugs, coffee. Get at it, people. Have a great day. We love you. Unconditional.
See ya, brother. I love you. I love you. I love